I want to ask the indulgence of this respectable group as I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity granted to me, as I have been waiting for this moment for many, many years. And I have some accounts to settle with Mr. Isaac Benatar. Let me take you to some decades back, a history that may not be known to many of you today. I've been waiting all this time to thank Isaac for one of the greatest lessons that I learned, or he taught me by force, through the very early years of my career. March 1978. You still remember, Isaac? Yeah. So I arrived to Petah Tikvah as a rabbi, and I'm young, enthusiastic, full of plans, ambitious. There was a beautiful synagogue, a beautiful community that required guidance. And at the time, the synagogue was a weekend synagogue. We opened on Shabbat and Sundays, and the rest of the week it was closed. So I decided that one of the first campaigns was to initiate daily services, for which I went around many of our members. Kobe, where are you? I had Kobe as my assistant. And we went around asking people to give us 1 hour, one morning a week, so we can open. It was a large membership, and it should have been easy to have a minyan every day by not having to commit more than once a week. However, the circumstances, rightfully so, were such. We were all immigrants, and jobs did not come easy, and people had to be very careful with holding their jobs. And as we went around asking people, we got the natural answer: can't do it. I have to be early at the job, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, punch the card. Can't go in. If I don't, you get fired. Different times than now, young guys. It was totally different. I don't know why you guys are not in Shachrit every day, Max. But that was the situation. And we knew, and we sympathized. But nevertheless, we tried, and Baruch Hashem, we succeeded. From then till today, there has been minyanim. But again, many people could not, in all honesty, could not come. I knew one of the people that could not come was Isaac Benatar. Why couldn't Isaac Benatar come? Because Isaac Benatar hired all the Portuguese of Toronto that did not work in construction. So they lined up every morning at Ascot chair, and they came to work. And he had to be there early. He had to open, he had to facilitate to all these workers. So I knew that he had a good answer. But nevertheless, I felt that I should approach him. I didn't want Isaac to be insulted. Why aren't you asking me? Okay, so I went through the exercise. And I knew what was going to happen. I was going to come, ask Isaac, can you come? And he would tell me, I can't come. What am I going to do with all the Portuguese? Okay, so that's the answer that I expected. But that's not what I got. And what I got is one of the biggest lessons in my life. For that, I want to thank you. So I went to Isaac, and I told him, you think you can come one day a week for Shachrit? And the immediate explosive answer was, what? Now, I was young. What meant, I didn't hear what you said. Can you repeat it? Today I know what meant. But then I got the line that I still dream about. And that line put the whole perspective in my entire life, I want you to know. And the answer was not, ask God chair. It was not all the work. It was very simple. Que Dios no me dé por qué. For those that didn't understand, I don't know if there is a translation, but that God should not give me a reason to have to come to synagogue. I said, oh. And Isaac, in his natural self, he turned around to his buddies next to him and murmured some words that they couldn't fit in the Spanish or the English language. I don't know what they meant. But I had learned a lesson. I knew I was finished. If that's the answer, having such a good answer to tell me that he has work, that was the answer. I had offended him. And it was very traumatic for me, I must tell you. Remember, I was young. I went home. I was philosophically perplexed. Here's a guy who I asked him to come to synagogue, and he tells me that God should not give him a reason to come. He's praying to God. He's praying to God that she shouldn't have a reason to come to synagogue to pray. Okay? So I thought myself, come to synagogue and pray to God that you shouldn't have a reason to come to pray. But come. I tell you, the trauma, it's a true story. You remember, Isaac? You remember? Okay. The trauma didn't stop there. At the time, I used to go and visit Isaac's father, Menachem Zichrono Levracha, very often, on a regular basis. Now, I insulted this family, you understand? I told them to come to synagogue. You should know I was afraid to go and visit. Menachem Zichrono Livracha, for those that remember him, was a no-nonsense man. When he had to say something, he said it. And he said it by moving forward and looking at you straight in your eyes. I had this nightmare, how am I going to go and visit? I figured this is how the conversation is going to go. I'm going to go and visit Señor Menachem, and he's going to sit forward and look at me and say, es verdad lo que me enteré? Is it true what I heard? You asked my son to come to Tefillah? I thought you loved me. You bless me all the time, I should have a long life. And you tell me my son to come to Tefillah? And I told myself, what am I going to answer? What am I going to say? Look at me. Do I look like a guy who would say such a thing? Would I ask your son to come to Tefillah? Thank you, Isaac. Just for that, it was worth our friendship. I want you to know that from that day in March 1978, Isaac Ben-Attar has never left the synagogue. If Petah Tikvah is what it is today, is due to Isaac and Judy Ben-Attar. Before I admit is what is today is due to Judy and Isaac Benatar. If the Kehila Center is what it is today, it's due to Judy and Isaac Benatar. I thought, how could I describe Isaac, especially with the many speeches through the night? And I thought of the following statement made by Rabbi Shlomo ibn Gavirol, one of the great Chachamim and poets of Spain. He writes like this, "Haverim, shalosh kitot hem." There is three different types of friends. Mehem kamazon. Some of those friends are like food. Shelo tuchal la'amod biladav, that you cannot stand without them. Like food sustains you, those friendships sustain you. Mehem kirfua. There are those friends that are like medicine. Asher ata tzarich leitim, that you require occasionally, from times to times of need. Mehem kematve asher en ata tzarich leolam, and there are those friends that are like a sickness that you do not want to ever have. Isaac Benatar is that first group. A group, he's a friend as no one else can be described as a friend, somebody that is there forever for you, somebody who stands constantly in favor of his friends, looking out for his friends. The special brand of friendship of Isaac Benatar is extended to us as a community, is extended to us as individuals. It's that type of friendship that describes it. In all the years that I worked together with Isaac, the amount of times that he knew that people were in need, and he would come and give me money to provide for these people. Till today, they don't even know where it came from. We used to have a joke. He was in charge of the tuition in Ora Emet for many years. He used to go into a room to try to get some tuition from some parents, and he would come out and say, "No, I couldn't get any tuition from them. But here's a few $100, buy them the books and the uniforms." He used to put money from his own pocket instead of collecting tuition from the parents in order to make it easy for them. I know that he doesn't like that I'm saying this, but I'm only saying just a few samples of the type of friend and friendship that he devotes himself to. And that is the way that we want to pay tribute to you tonight. All that you have done for all the communities, all the friendships that you have extended. Your home has been a home open to the entire community for decades. Judy, you did an amazing job in allowing that home, and Isaac was there serving, as he does today in the synagogue. Every individual, by their needs and their likes and their whims, he's there. And that's a friend. That's somebody who cares for you. That's somebody who will put himself out totally for you. We thank you for your heart. We thank you for your generosity. We thank you for the difference that you have made in our lives. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu grant you a long life, to much beracha and hatzlacha, to be able to continue helping all the communities and all the individuals till 120. This is a special night for our community, and on a personal level, when we're paying tribute to my beloved aunt, Mari, who devoted herself to this community in a way that it cannot be described. Danny, you did an amazing job in saying all that had to be said, and I couldn't do any better than that. But we all should know how privileged we are and how fortunate we were to have someone like my aunt working with devotion and such dedication that is incomparable and never to be seen again, that type of devotion. It reminds me of the words of one of the Baalei HaMusar that says, "Ha'oved avodat harabim," a person that serves in the public service, tzarich sheyeh bo gimel devarim, that person who is in the public service has to be careful with three things. Shelo yitayef, that the person should not tire, should not burn out. V'shelo yirgaz, and the person should not get angry. V'shelo yirsed gemara ma'aseh, and that the person does not seek to take credit for finishing the job. You work for the public, you cannot be tired ever. She never tired. She worked the whole day, she took work at home. She didn't know what it means to burn out. She didn't know what it means even to take vacations, to free herself from the load. She was sick at home, and she was still carrying the load. That's Shelo Yitayef. Shelo Yirgaz. God knows that working for a public will bring you many, many times to situations where anger just takes over you. Never, ever, all the years that we all worked together with her, did we see a sound of anger or a cloud of anger going through her. How she sustained herself through the difficulties of the job, it's difficult to describe. And the last is not taking credit for the finished job. How many jobs you do and then somebody comes along who did nothing and he takes the credit. That's what happens in public work. And she worked for everybody. She prepared the jobs for everybody. Everybody else went to their meetings taking credit. She never sought, she never wanted to be credited for any of the work. We could stand here and speak about my aunt for a long, long time. Nobody so efficient and reliable as her, with such high principles and totally conscientious in every aspect of her job. I only want to say all of this in just a few words. Tita Mari, you make me proud to be your nephew. Thank you.